Okay, so it's very similar. Now, you only do the following. So you're not going to do it to every problem. You're only going to do it to the following for problems where A does not equal 1. So for A does not equal 1. So if A equals any number other than 1, then you're going to do the following steps. Now, these are the two steps that the online program or the curriculum wants you to do the following problems. It's actually hard. This method card grouping is very difficult to do, and even substitution also. So I'm going to teach you a new method that you can apply to the following problems that make it a lot easier. At least they're easier for me. They may not be easier for you, but if for whatever reason, if you don't understand it, then I highly recommend you go through the online textbook and read the other two methods, or you can look it up online too, because there's plethora of ways to do the following problems. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a quick video. So give me a quick video of this dude that figured out how to do it really well. So to do prior to doing that method that he just did, and that is you're going to always do the GCF first before you factor. So that is always step number one, finding the greatest common factor, and then you're going to factor. So that's always the first step to do when you're doing these problems. And that's kind of one thing he didn't do. So you kind of have to be very, very careful because technically you can do what he just did on all the problems. But the issue is that you're going to have really big numbers if you do not take the greatest common factor out first prior to actually factoring. So you're going to have to be very careful. So for number one, it says factor the expression completely. We have 25x squared minus 10x minus 15. So we got to find the GCF. So what does 25x squared break down to? What does 25x squared break down to, Suraj? 5 and 5 and x and x, right? Don't forget the x and x. Negative 10 breaks down to negative 5 times 2 times x, correct? And negative 15 breaks down to negative 5 times 3. Okay, so what's a common value that they all share? 5. And they share a 5, they share a 5, they share a 5. So that means my greatest common factor is 5. So you're going to have to factor that out. So if I take a 5 from this term here, what am I left with? Not x2. 5x squared. You still have this 5. You have these two x's, so you have 5x squared, right? Any problems so far? Because you got to get to this part right here. Okay. When you factor out this 5, what are you left with here in the second term? Negative 2x. I recommend using a highlighter or marker so that way you know that you took out the 5. And then the negative, we did not take out the negative, so that just stays with it. This term here, what are we left with? Negative 3. So that is always your first step when doing these problems. Try to see if there's a GCF. Does anyone have any questions so far? Any problems? Okay, now we're going to do exactly what he did. Now we're going to take this 5 and we're going to multiply it by the third term. When we do that, this 5 just tags along, so you have to keep with it. So now you have x squared minus 2x minus 15. Does anyone have any questions so far on multiplying the very first term with the last term? Yes.
Where did the x in front of the x? Where did the 5 in front of the x squared go?
So it disappears. So we took this 5 and we just brought it to the very back. So it disappears. You no longer have it. Yes, it's bye-bye, it's gone. So it's no longer there. Yes, Nora. Because that's just the way the method works.
No, I don't.
No, you have a very good question. It's just the way it works, Nora. And we'll do this every time, and then you'll see like, hey, actually works. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're just gonna do what we regularly do. We're gonna find two numbers that multiply to -15, but add to -2. Okay, right? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? So and then you're gonna write the factors of 15. So we have 1 and 15, 3 and 5, and that's it. See, you only have two possible possibilities for you getting this right. What? 4 does not go to 15.
5, 3.
Okay, very good. So in this case, -5 times +3 is -15. -5 plus 3 gives me -2. Right? Yes.
During the test, we have to write factors that.
No, you don't have to. It's honestly just up to you. I'm just doing it for note purposes because not everyone can just get it automatically. Okay, so now we're gonna write the factors. We have x minus 5, x plus 3. This GCF that we took out in the very beginning just tags along. He just goes along for the ride until the very end. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, now the number that we multiplied in the very beginning, right? We multiplied the last term by 5, right? This number that we multiplied, we're going to take each of the terms that we found, and all we're doing is we're dividing them by 5. So x, 5 divided by 5, x plus 3, 5. Yes.
Shouldn't there be another parentheses because the 5, see, in that case would just be multiplying, x minus 5 into 5.
What?
What? No, because of multiplication, if it's like that, you're just multiplying left to right anyways. It's not like you multiply a certain thing first.
Yeah,
You have to be first.
it doesn't need parentheses. Okay, is everyone with me so far? The number that we divided by. Okay, your next step is to be able to simplify. Can we simplify any of these values? The 1, the 5 over 5, right? What does that make? 1. Okay. So you have to simplify. That's the next step after you divide each term, is see if you can simplify it. In this case, just like the person did, he reduced it first. You have to reduce it because if you don't reduce it, it's going to be incorrect. So simplify or reduce. Simplify. No, fortunately. We have one last step. This is the last step. If you guys saw the video, this denominator that we have, we're going to get rid of it and multiply it to the x inside the parentheses. So it's going to get multiplied. So we have 5x minus 1, 5 times x, which is just 5x, plus 3. This is the final complete factorization of that problem. You need to know how to do this because when you get to math 3, you're going to apply this skill to graphing. So it is very crucial you know how to solve these problems. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. Now you can check if you did this correctly. I'm not going to do it for every problem, but I'll do it for the first problem. You can check your problem. So what you're going to do, if you want to check to make sure you did it correctly, 5x minus 1, 5x plus 3. What you're going to do is distribution for the very first value. So you get 5x minus 5, 5x plus 3. Now it's up to you whether you want to check to see if you did it correctly or not. I'm just doing it for the first one. And then for the last step, all you have to do is just do the box method. Five x negative 5, 5x plus 3. 25x squared 15x, negative 25x, negative 15. So I have 25x squared plus 15x minus 25x minus 15. You combine like terms and you get the exact problem that we started with in the very, very beginning.
Okay, this is a disaster. Okay, actually.
Now, this check, you don't have to do it. It's not mandatory, but you can, especially when it comes to the test. You can check to see if you actually factored it correctly. Because if you went backwards, you're able to go forward as well, forward and back. So, does anyone have any questions? Now, shh, you don't have to do this method. You can look online for other methods to do this. But from what I found, this is honestly the simplest method. The other methods are a lot more complicated. But maybe it's not to you, but you can pick. You can pick and choose how you solve it. Does anyone have any questions? All right, let's do to the next one. Let's go to the next problem. Number 2, factor the trinomial 5y to the 4th minus 8y cubed minus 4y squared. First step, number 1, you got a factor. So what's the factor of 5y to the 4th? 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? What's the factors of 8? You're close.
Oh, two.
Very good. Because 8 becomes 4 and 2, and then this is 2 and 2, right? So this is negative 2 times 2 times 2. There's 3 y's. And then negative 4 is what? Negative 2 times 2, and then 2 y's. Okay. What's the greatest common factor from each of the terms? 2 y's. Thank you. 1 here. And then another y. So they don't have any numbers that they share, but they have a variable. In this case, it is y squared. Y times y equals y squared. So now we're going to factor it out. Y squared parentheses. When I factor out y squared from this first term, what am I left with? What am I left with when I take out y squared?
5 ones. It would be 5 roundings, right?
Very good. When I factor out y squared from the second term, what am I left with? Very good. Negative 8y. And then for the last term, not negative 2, negative 4. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Okay, now we're gonna do what we saw in the video. We're gonna take the 5 and we're gonna multiply it to the last term. Bring the y squared, and then we're left with y squared minus 8y minus 20. Then we got to figure out two numbers that multiply to negative 20, but add to negative 8. And then what helps us is to write out the factors of the last term, which in this case is 20, which is 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. That's it. Those are only the 3 possible combinations. So remember, if the last term is negative, that means one of your numbers is negative and then the other one is positive. So in this case, what's the only combination that multiplies to negative 20 but adds to negative 8? Jessica. You're close. Remember, you're getting negative 8. There you go. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. -2, sorry, -10 and +2. And if you want to double check, use a calculator because I know some of you guys try to use mental math for it, but you just gotta really be careful because if you don't write it right here, you're gonna get the rest of the problem wrong. -10 times +2 is -20. -10 plus +2 is -8. And if it all checks out, then just put like a little like question put a little check to make sure that it is true. Okay, so now y squared, y minus 10, y plus 2. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, do you guys remember what's the next step? Yes, Siraj.
Do the thousand numbers by the and the two.
Very good. You divide the last term in the binomial. And then your next step is to try to see if you can simplify or reduce. So y squared, -10 minus 5 reduces to -2. And then the 2 and 5 does not reduce, so we'll just write it again. Now, your last and final step is if you have a fraction, you gotta get rid of the denominator. How do you get rid of the denominator in the fraction? Multiply it by what? But what do you multiply the denominator by? The y. Very good. That's what I was looking for. So you take the denominator in the fraction and you multiply it to the term that's in the front of that binomial. So y squared, y minus 2, parentheses, 5 times y, or just 5y, plus 2. This is your final answer. And I'm not going to do the whole check because it's just a lot of work. But you got to understand, especially when it comes to math, you got to learn the foundation because you're going to use that previous math skills for future lessons. Yes, Nora.
When you multiply the 5 with 2/5,
5 and 2/5.
yeah, from 5, you have the circle
This one?
yes, you get that from originally multiplying the 5 up to 20.
Yeah, when we took the 5 and then we multiplied to -4. That's where this 5 comes from when we divide it at the very end. So whatever number you multiplied, that's the number you're going to divide by. Does that make sense? Okay, let's do more practice. So the better we get at this, the better. Okay, so remember step number 1, you got to find the greatest common factor. What does 6x squared factor out to be? 3 and 2 and x, right? 11x factors out to just 11x. What about the 3? That's just 3, right? Does this problem have a greatest common factor? No, this does not have a GCF. There is none. So you have to be careful. When you do the factorization, not everything is going to have a greatest common factor. So you're going to have to be very careful. Okay, so now we just go 6x squared plus 11x plus 3. So we're just going to write the whole problem again. So what's the very first step when we're trying to do the method for a is greater than 1? Anything 1? Yes, Max.
Multiply the 6x squared by the 3.
Okay, you're very close. Just the 6, not the x squared. Just the 6. So very good. So we're going to multiply that 3 by 6. So now we have x squared plus 11x plus 18. Now, I know you guys can do this in your head, but what's the next step to do? Do not give me the factor. I want to know what the next step is. Siraj, before that. I mean, I guess you can. Yeah. All right. We'll go to this part. Factors of 18, which in this case are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. So you got three options. So, and then the next step is to find two numbers that multiply to 18 but add to 11. These do not carry x's, so do not write x.
2, 9.
Thank you. Okay, so two numbers that multiply to 18 and add to 11 is 2 and 9. Any questions so far? Okay, so now we're going to do the parentheses. X plus 2, x plus 9. Or you could do x plus 9, x plus 2, doesn't matter. We already talked about it yesterday. They're interchangeable. Okay, so now once we get to this step, what do we do? Liam, C.
5, 6.
Very good. Divide by 6. So x plus 2. What is my next step? Simplify, reduce. Okay, what does 2/6 simplify?
1.
Very good. 1/3. Because both of these numbers can both be divided by 2, right? 2 goes into 2 one time, and 6 goes in, 2 goes into 6 3 times, right? What does 9/6 simplify to? 3/2. If you need help simplifying, so all you have to do is find two numbers that goes into 2 and 6. So in this case, 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. For 9/6, find two numbers that they're both divisible by. In this case, they're both divisible by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that's how we get 1/3, 3/2 if you have troubles with trying to reduce. And you have to reduce it because if you don't reduce it, it's incorrect. Okay, what is my last and final step? Multiply what? Very good. To the leading axis or the leading term in each of the binomials. So take this 3 and you're gonna multiply it. You're gonna take this 2 and you're gonna multiply by the x. So multiply. I'm gonna put a dot for multiplication because then if I put an x, you're gonna get confused. So put dot x. Okay, so we have 3x plus 1, 2x plus 3. And that would be the answer. And if you check it, you did all the mumbo jumbo, then you'll get to the very beginning problem that we have. All right, more practice because we need to practice. Okay. Okay, 20x squared plus 20x plus 5 for number 4, factor completely. So in this case, what does 20x squared factor to? Liam, see?
2.
Very good. 2 times 2 times 5, x times x, right? Because 20 breaks down to 4 and 5. 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. So you have 2 times 2 times 5. And then the next term breaks down to 2 times 2 times 5 times only 1x. And then 5 breaks down to just 5. So what's the greatest common factor that these both terms share? Yes, Max.
5.
Very good. 5. 5, 5, 5. So it's just 5. Whatever you factor out, it has to go in the very beginning, and pretty much you gotta carry it for the ride for the rest of the problem. Now, when you factor out 5 in this very first term, what are you left with? 2 times 2 times x, which makes what? 4x squared. Very good. When we take out 5 in the second term, we're left with 2 times 2 times x. And that leaves us with 4x. And then, ooh, this is a very good problem. When we factor out the 5 in this problem, what are we left with? No, it's not nothing. 1. It is 1. There is a number, except it's the number that everyone forgets. The imaginary 1. Okay, okay. Okay, shh. We did not necessarily take it away. This is the important part. When I say we take it away, I mean in the sense that we're dividing by it. Because if I divide this by 5, right? The 5's cancel, right? If I divide this by 5, this cancels. If I divide this by 5, what do I get? 1. I get 1.
Oh,
Now-
that makes sense.
Now, you can always check to make sure when you do the GCF that if you did it correctly or did it wrong. Remember, when we have parentheses, what method do we use to solve for it? Distribution, right? So if I wanted to go from this to this, what would I have to do to this 5? Distribute, right? So what's 5 times 4x squared? What's 5 times 4x? 20x. What is 5 times 1? 5. If I put the 0 here, would I still get the same answer as I did in the very beginning? No. So for problems like this, if you have an only term and that term gets factored out, you have to put the imaginary 1. Now technically we don't factor out the 1, but there are times where you are going to need the 1, and this is one of those times where you have to keep the imaginary 1. Because when we're taking out, we're technically dividing by it. Because 20 divided by 5 is what? 4. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 5 divided by 5 is. I
I still hate that message.
still first got touch you guys on the very beginning of class.
Well, that doesn't.
We all know that you made up.
That doesn't make me hate it. Imaginary. 1-year-old.
All right, shh. Okay, so now we're just gonna do the same thing we always do. Take this 4, and we're gonna multiply it to the imaginary 1. So bring down the 5. So we have x squared plus 4x plus 4. So two numbers that multiply to 4, but add to 4. Suraj.
We're not sure, we should probably look at the factors.
Exactly. See, I like Liam's thought process. You gotta look at the factors. Okay. Liam, what are the factors of 4?
2.
No, that's not the first one.
2.
1 and 4.
I think that's well, 2 and 2 is correct.
All right. So what out of these two pairs of numbers, what multiplies to 4 and add a 4? Suraj said 2. What? 1 and 4 does not make 4. All right, let's continue. Okay. Okay, so now we have x plus 2, x plus 2. My very last step is that whatever number I multiplied by the last term, I have to divide. 4. Right? Because that's what we multiplied, right? Okay, and then now we simplify / reduce. Okay, what does 2 4 simplify to? 1 2. 2 4 can both be divided by 2. 1 divided by 2. Okay, and then my last step is to take this number, multiply it to the very front. So I have 5 parentheses 2 times x plus 1, 2 times x plus 1. This is the complete factored form of the problem that we just had.
Too hard. Not too hard. No, artist, math on computer. No.
I think it's like functions are a lot harder.
I think it's just easy. I think it's easy. Yeah, you know, not easy, but.
Okay. Okay, for number 5, I'm gonna teach you the shortcut when it comes to GCF. Now, you don't have to do my method. If you like how we did in the previous problems, that is perfectly fine. But I'm gonna teach you the way, like I usually do it, because I mean it's up to you whether you want to do it. Maybe so for some of you guys it's a lot easier. Maybe for not, maybe not. So do okay. So here's a shortcut for the GCF. What is the biggest number that both 4, 4, and 80 can both be divided by? 4. The number that you're going to divide by is your GCF. Now, here's the thing. Do they both share x's? No. This has 2, this has 1, this has none. So that means the only GCF is just 4. So my greatest common factor is 4. So if I divide everything by 4, what am I left with? 1, right? 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is also 1. And what's negative 80 divided by 4? Negative 20. Okay, what is my next step? Yes.
Well, since you don't really have to move the thing in front of X, I think you just go to finding out the variables.
You're close, finding out the terms. Remember, we only do that method that we just learned if this is not 1. Is this 1? Yes. Since this is already 1, we can just go straight to finding 2 numbers that multiply to negative 20 and sum of 1. Because it's 1, we don't have to like actually multiply the negative 20 by anything because it's 1. Okay, so then we're gonna write the factors of 20, 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, and that's it. There's only 3 factors. So out of these 3 terms, multiplies to negative 20, but that's 1. Yes, in the front. Yes.
It's 4 or 5, but, depending. One is negative.
Which one's negative?
5.
Boy, very good. The 4 has to be negative. You see it?
I see, I would be.
Right? Does negative 4 times 5 give you negative 20? Does negative 4 plus 5 give you 1? Okay, so there we go. That's all we had to do. So now, remember, you got to keep the GCF. So write parentheses. So now, what are our numbers? X minus 4, x plus 5. Do I have to divide anything by the last terms of the binomial? No, because we did not multiply. So this is the answer. Yes, we didn't multiply right there. Exactly. All right, does everyone get number 5? Okay, number 6. 8x squared minus 8x. What's the biggest number that 8, -8, and -6 can be divided by? 2. So my GCF for this problem is just 2. There's no x's. This one has 2, this one has 1, this has none. So I cannot factor out no x's. So it's just 2. So that means when I factor out my 2, what am I left with? I would say 2 parentheses.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
8 divided by 2 is 4. -8 divided by 2 is -4. And then -6 divided by 2 is -3. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. Our first term in a trinomial is not 1. So that means I gotta take this 4 and multiply it by the last term. So I'm left with 2 x squared minus 4x minus 12. So now find two numbers that multiply to -12, but the sums is -4. And then to help us out, we're gonna write the factors, which is the reason why I gave you guys that multiplication sheet, if you guys don't remember it. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Out of these three pairs, one of them multiplies to -12 and -4. Now, I like the way, what's it called? You can figure out what the numbers are. It's going to be 6 and 2. But the problem is, one of them has to be negative. Which one's negative? Very good. 6. There you go. So you guys are getting the hang of it. -6 times 2 is -12. -6 plus 2 is -4. So you got to make sure you double check to make sure they're correct. So now we have 2x minus 6. X plus 2. And then the next step would be whatever we multiplied, we got to divide. And then we have to simplify. What does 6/4 simplify to? Very good. 3/2. What does 2/4 simplify to? 1/2. There we go. So 2x minus 3/2 x plus 1/2. So simplify, reduce. In this case, we're going to reduce it. We didn't simplify because reduce is when you have like 10 divided by 5. That's simplify. And then the last and our final step, take the denominator and multiply it to the very beginning. 2 parentheses 2 times x minus 3 parentheses 2 times x plus 1 parentheses. And that would be your final answer. Does anyone have any questions? All right, we'll do one more, and that's the last problem we're going to do. Oh, huh? Yeah, wait until it's negative. The first term is negative. Or when you get fractions in the very beginning, it ends up becoming a little bit interesting. So it doesn't get really that difficult. Honestly, this is pretty much the difficult it'll get, but I mean, there's some tricky parts if you get negatives.
I hope you never give us any fractions.
That's math 3. You're not gonna get it in math 2.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is boring.
I've never taken math 3 then.
It's not that bad. It's actually, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I taught math 3 like 2 years ago, so I kind of forgot.
Um,
I should honestly. That's actually pretty fun if you have only one math teacher for the 4 years that you have. So I can have you for math 1, math 2, and then junior for math 3, and if anyone is willing to do pre-calculus, then I can see your senior.
Is it the choice between math 3, is this math?
No, I'll do math if you teach it.
Wait, what?
Do you choose, business math, you don't like automatically take that, right?
It honestly just depends. It depends on your career path. If any of you plan to take, like, if any of you plan to continue your education, then you can take pre-calculus your senior year. If not, then technically after math 3, you don't have to take a math senior year. Yeah. 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 It's not mandatory. Math 3 is also not mandatory, but at JCS, if you're a junior and you're not gonna take math 3, then we encourage you to take at least business math. But yeah, so it's up to you. It's honestly just like what you're what? I don't we'll see, we'll see. Okay. All right, let's do the next problem. 3x squared plus 25x minus 18. Now, what's the greatest number that 3, 25, and negative 18 can be divided by? Yes, Raj.
1.
No, that's not. Okay, everything but 1. But 1. So, this case, the GCF is none. There is no number that you can factor out between. Oh, okay, yes, the imaginary one, but it's not necessary.
No. Like, where's the
Okay. Okay, so we have 3x squared plus 25x minus 18. So now we just continue what we've been doing. 3 times negative 18. We're left with 20. Oops, sorry. X squared because we took it to the back. So times it by 3. Sorry. Plus 25x minus, what'd you guys get? 54? Okay, so this is why I gave you that multiplication sheet, because 54 should be on there. It's a 20 by 20. It's pretty much every number you can think of. All right, so now we're going to find two numbers that multiply to negative 54 and adds to positive 25. Now for 54, you are going to have a lot of numbers in this case. So in this case, 1 and 54. What's the next one?
2 and 27.
2 and 27.
B. 21.
3 and 18. What else? What else? 3 and 18.
6 and 9.
6 and 9.
Oh.
Yeah, 45. So you have to be careful. 6 and 9. Is there anything else? 7. Nope. 8. Nope. Okay, we only have 4. We only have 4 pairs. So out of those 4 pairs, one of them multiplies to negative 54, but adds to positive 25. Luke.
Negative 2, 27.
Very good. Positive 27 and negative 2 make negative 54, but positive 27 and negative 2 make positive 25, right? 25 plus negative 2, that is positive 25. So now we can write the factors. X plus 27, x minus 2. Okay, what's our next step?
You by 27 and negative 2 by 3.
By 3.
I was trying to say like the second term or something.
So now we're going to simplify and reduce. Okay, what can be simplified? What can get simplified? There is something that can get simplified. 27 and 3. What does 27 and 3 simplify to? 9. Sorry, my apologies, I couldn't hear. Okay, when you do these and you're trying to do the simplify reduce part, always just plug into the calculator. Hey, does 27 can that be divided by 3? Because maybe some of you guys may not know it in top of your head that hey, 27 divided by 3 is 9. So I'd recommend you actually just plug into the calculator first to see if it can actually get simplified. Well, obviously 2/3 can't, but does 27 over 3 get you 9? So you're gonna have to be very, very careful. My last and final step, take my denominator from that 2/3 and bring it to the front of the binomial. So x plus 9, parentheses, 3 times x minus 2. That is your final answer for this problem.